So it's nice to be here with you guys. I'm excited to taste the 19 Continuum. So Tim and Carissa, what's your feelings about the vintage and how would you compare it to 2018, which was 100 points? So it should be interesting to see.
Well, first of all, we are in this beautiful Napa Valley, and here, and right now, if you look down there, you can see why this area, part of why this area is so great. You can see the San Francisco Bay. You can feel the cool breezes coming off that cold Pacific Ocean coming up here on this very shy, rocky soil. And that's really the thing. And the fact that we are an estate-based entity means we've got the same people in the vineyards and the cellar, and we are getting to know this fabulous property more and more and more every year. And so I think that there is a beautiful progression of improved vibrancy, elegance, refinement in our wines all the way across. And even we'll continue. Everything has got to be at the very, very highest level. And we care for everything, even the young vines, as if they were princes to be kings one day. And so everything is 100% from our own vineyard, with our own people in the vineyards as well as in the cellar. And with that, we can have these ever gentle refinements. And I think you'll notice progression to even better nuance, elegance, but lots of substance because of this volcanic soil.
And so how do you compare 19 to 18?
I think 19 has a vibrancy that 18 also had, but I think that there's a delicacy with the 19 vintage that I love. I think that we are on a broader basis. The 19 Continuum has slightly less Petit Verdot, a bit more Cabernet Franc, and we are fine-tuning things. So there's a bit less Cabernet Sauvignon, a little bit less Petit Verdot, more Cabernet Franc. And
it's the highest percentage of Cabernet Franc, 37% Cabernet Franc. So it's like...
What do you think the Franc does for you?
I think it lifts the fragrance, and most importantly, from my perspective, it envelops the tannin. And there's a silkiness that the Cabernet Franc on this shy, rocky soil gives that I adore. So...
also, on a more sentimental level, the 2019 marks our family's 100th harvest. So it's an emotionally significant vintage for sure, and it also felt very gifted by what Mother Nature gave us. So I think there was like a swelling and the contracting and expanding throughout the growing season of heat and cool and heat and cool. And so that final stretch was cool, so it extended things. So
I think that final period of being cooler than normal helps maintain the vibrancy of this wine. Plus, slightly earlier harvesting for the purpose of having more and a more awareness of tannin profile in the vineyards. And modifying. Anyway, I just think that we should talk about it when we see the wines, but I'm really delighted with the progression.
And I think the 19 really has a beautiful plushness and generosity that is really, really special for this vintage too.
Crop levels were lower also, right?
They're low, yeah. It's 18 was a little bit higher, 19 was a little bit lower. And all the numbers are basically in alignment in terms of pH, TA, alcohol, all of that. Not much of a difference. If anything, we're on the larger arc is towards just greater vibrancy and nuance of tannin, gentler tannins. Lots of them. Mountain fruit always has lots of tannin. So it's focusing on the refinement of that.
But I think really for me, and as you've also, with the scores you've given the wine, I think you see it too. I really feel like this dedicated team in the vineyards and in the cellar, and the vineyard team is involved in the tastings and the blending. So we're getting acquainted with each wine lot. And so we're figuring out what we're doing in the vineyards and how to improve things based on the wines as a team. And that's really significant and special to me. And I think starting with 15, 16, 17, it's like it's firing on all cylinders. Like, we know how to honor this site, it's happening in the vineyards, and we know how to reflect what this site has in the wines. And so I think you consistently can see that now, and in both the 18 and the 19, as Dad is saying.
The thing I love too is that the second wine is now, or our vineyard is, our young vines are maturing so that they're no longer young, and they are beginning to show off more personality. They're younger than Continuum for Novician, but they also have depth and they show this site. So
what do you think? What do you think? 18 and 19, do they signify something important for Napa, do you think, like contemporary Napa wines?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the people are Napa Valley is definitely coming of age. It is of age. And I think that the period of overblown wines is behind us. I think the embracing of more nuance and elegance, as I have been saying, I think is a broader trend that is important. It's something that we certainly agree with, and I think you'll see it in our wines. There's more finesse. We're avoiding seed tannin. Catechins are something that I've really focused on lately to try to understand the source of them, and then the extraction of them in the cellar. And so it is something that you see more in Petit Verdot, of course. Also, Merlot, depending upon the vintage, it seems to be more erratic, but it is something that we monitor all the time, and we are aware of which blocks, and we vinify accordingly.
One thing I noticed that a lot of wines in Napa are showing graphite and lead pencil character, which is really a sign of people picking Cabernet really at the right time. That's what I'm just assuming, just because of, Bordeaux, my history with Bordeaux. And I find that's interesting. Is that what it is, that they're picking at the right
Well,
right
I think
time?
you're probably also seeing more of an emphasis towards mountain fruit. There's a lot more people are focusing on that now than in the past. Prohibition wiped that out. The German immigrants planted in the hills, and they were abandoned during Prohibition and all the strife. But now people are coming back. And I think that when the vines are struggling and there's greater concentration, I think you see more graphite. And I love that character.
Yeah,
I think you'll notice it here too.
And back to the idea of tannins from the seeds.
Yeah.
Is that also a question of picking at the right time so that
Sure, it is, but generally that will cause you to pick later.
I was thinking of that.
And so as we understand this site better, we're able to harvest a little bit earlier than we have historically. And if we have the analysis and understand what we're looking for, then we can be forewarned as to what kind of vinification we want to have. So longer macerations for, say, Cabernet Franc or Cabernet Sauvignon, shorter maceration for Petit Verdot, and particularly Merlot can be quite variable, it seems. So, but just knowing the blocks, knowing the vintage makes a huge amount of difference in what we're doing.
So what vintage would you compare 19 to? You can go as far back as you made a lot.
Well, I love this. I love the springboard of the 18.